In this lesson, we're going to spend some time with quadratics. We're going to practice solving them, a variety of methods. We're going to look at some simple word problems. We're going to just get some good practice here before we move on to the more complicated parts of this unit. Okay. So this question, and it's all examples today. This question asks us to find the roots. Roots, another name for zeros, another name for solutions, another name for x-intercepts. Okay. And our objective when we're solving quadratics, finding roots, number one, they have to be in standard form. Number two, they have to be equal to 0. And then we're either going to try factoring it, that's a preferable method, or the quadratic formula if not. And so we look at the first one. It's in the right order, yes. It's in standard form. It's equal to 0, yes. Let's try factoring it. This looks kind of like man, a simple trinomial. Think of anything that multiplies to 2 and adds to -3. And we can do that, -2 and -1. So if I put those in my brackets, I now want to find my zeros. My zeros are 2 and 1. That's a nice quick one. We were able to use the factoring method. If we try the second one, is it in the right order? Definitely not, and it's not equal to 0. In fact, it's got brackets in it. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of our brackets. We're going to distribute and distribute. And then we're going to rearrange this. I want to put everything on the left-hand side so that I can put it equal to 0 and also put it in standard form while keeping my squared term positive. So again, I get a simple trinomial. I try thinking about man. Can I think of things that multiply to 6 and add to -8? And there's no numbers that multiply to 6 and add to -8, so this is not possible to factor. So I have to go to the quadratic formula. Reminders. -b plus or minus the discriminant, that tells us if it can be solved, all over 2a. Let's give it a try. So for our case, x equals the opposite of b, so positive 8, plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. We're going to figure out our discriminant, the part underneath the root sign. So 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6 comes out to 40. It's a positive, which means I can find this. I can find my zeros. And I'm going to get two different answers. I'll get the positive root, and I'll get the negative root. If you do that, you should get 7.16 for one of them, and 0.838 for the other. Okay, so these are really our only two options. We can either factor things, or we use the formula. Either way, they got to start off with the same method. Make it equal to 0, put it in standard form. So, as I was saying earlier, this is all examples. I would pause the video, try them yourselves, see if you can do them. Okay, not equal to 0. I see brackets, so I'm going to expand first. I'm going to put everything on the right side this time, because I want to keep my squared term positive, and I noticed I had a bigger squared term on the right side. I'm going to collect my like terms, and now I've got something in standard form equal to 0. I only have two numbers, which actually makes things easier. If you have two numbers, you can always factor it. In this case, I can common factor. They both have a 2x in them. If I take that out, I get x plus 1. So my zeros are 0 and -1. And we're done. If I try the next one, it's equal to 0. It's in standard form. It's all ready to go. Let's try factoring. Let's make it simpler first. We'll try common factoring. Okay, I got a minus sign in the middle. I got two terms. Kind of looks like a difference of squares, but I can't square root 5. So I gotta go to that formula. Now, some thoughts here. The number at the front is your a value. There is no x term, so in this case, b is 0. And this would be c at the end here. So when I say the opposite of b, I get 0 for b. So plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. That can be 0 plus or minus. 0 squared is still 0, so -4 times 1 times -5 comes out to 20. I am going to have two answers still, because I got 0 plus root 20 and 0 minus root 20. And either way, I will get, and make sure you press the equal sign before I divide by 2, right? We talked about that previously. 2.24 and negative 2.24. Solved. Okay, try the next one. It's not equal to 0. Let's fix that first. 3x squared minus 8x equals 0. Ah, they both have an x in them. I can common factor. Oh, I got my zeros. Here's one of them, it's 0, and the other one comes from here. 3x has to equal 8. In other words, 8 thirds. We like that one. Oh, I got a messier one. It's not equal to 0, and I got brackets. I got to get rid of those. So, a bracket squared, we know, means to write it out twice. I can also bring the other parts over, because I want to make it equal 0. Here, I'm going to have to FOIL. So, it keeps the 2 out front, and x times x is x squared, minus 1x plus 1. The stuff outside the bracket is still out there. We're now going to distribute, but it times everything by 2 inside. So 2x squared minus 2x plus 2 minus 3x. And now we can collect. So I got 2x squareds minus 7x's, and the 2 and the minus 2 cancel each other out. So it's equal to 0 now. It's in standard form. Let's try factoring. It kind of looks like the previous one where I could take an x out of everything. And if I do that, I get x is 0, or 2x is 7, so x 7 halves. There we go, we solved it. Okay. Last thing, I got a word problem, I'm going to try. April sells specialty teddy bears at various summer festivals. Her profit for a week can be modeled by this equation, where n is the number of teddy bears she sells during the week. How many teddy bears does she need to sell to earn $500? Well, $500 would be her profit, right? So I can put P as 500. Well, that can go in here. So I have myself a equation. Oops, I missed a negative sign there. I need that negative. An equation that's going to have to be solved. In order to solve this, I need to make it equal 0 and put it in standard form. So first thing, I see a bracket squared. I'm going to write it out twice. I'm also going to bring that 500 that was over here all the way to the end and put it as minus 500. So now it equals 0. I'm going to do my FOIL idea like I just did the previous question. So n squared minus 150n minus 150n plus 22,500, I believe is that number. And then outside the brackets, I've got plus 550. I just combine these two things together to make it fit there. Okay, we got to distribute. So I'm going to multiply this into everything inside the brackets. So negative 0.1n squared minus, plus 15n plus 15n minus 2,250, and then the 550 outside. I got to collect my like terms now. I'm working on making this equal to 0 and putting it in standard form, right? Negative 0.1 n squared plus 30n minus, that should be, 1,700. Okay. Decimals. Don't really like decimals. And decimals make my life more confusing. So how would I try and get rid of those decimals first? If I divide everything out by 0.1, negative 0.1, I'll get n squared minus 300n plus 17,000. That's make my life easier, no more decimals, and I got really big numbers. And off the top of my head, I can't even think of things that multiply to 17,000, so I'm not going to worry about math. I'm going to go right to the formula. This time I'm solving for n. So n equals A, B, and C. Now, if you wanted to, you could have used this previous version, A, B, and C. The numbers are smaller, got decimals in there, but it really is your choice. They're just different versions of the same equation. I'm going to use the one with the bigger numbers, okay? I'm going to use the one with the smaller numbers to make my life easier. So negative b is negative 30 plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c. So I'm using this version, right? I couldn't think of anything that made my life easier for 17,000. So I went back to the easier, smaller numbers. Okay. Underneath the root sign, figure out my discriminant, see if this can even be solved, and I get 220 as the root sign, So yes, it's positive, it can be solved. And I got 0.2. N equals, I got one answer is 75.8. And the other answer is 224.1. Now what did N stand for again? N stood for the number of teddy bears she needs to sell during the week. Okay. So if she sells, I can't really sell 0.8 of a teddy bear. So if she sells between 76 and 224 teddy bears, she will earn, and I'm going to change my wording here, at least $500. We only asked to find exactly 500. Turns out you can't. You get a decimal number, but you'll get at least 500 if you sell between those two things. Okay, so I'd say we're just practicing. Okay, some questions we should try. Most of them are just technical questions. Solve. Okay, make sure you're equal to 0. Make sure you're in standard form. And there might be, I think number 11 is a word problems. So give that a try too. And then what we're going to concentrate on the rest of this unit is basically word problems.